Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is JohnJake Gaming on the mic here. And if you guys have been living under a rock, for the first time in 8 years, college football made by EA Sports is confirmed to come back with the announcement of EA College Football. And now that some time has passed to go ahead and completely digest the news that we are experiencing right now, as well as a couple of other things, it's now time for me to go ahead and talk about some things that I want in the next installment of EA College Football. So this is what my wish list is going to be, and from this wish list, not only am I going to pull inspiration from the NCAA 14 series itself, games like NCAA 14, but also with games like NCAA 06, Maximum Football, even other sports games and non-sports games, such as what we got going with Among Us, Fall Guys, Fortnite, and Warzone, as well as some suggestions from the people that are in my Discord, which is linked down in the description, by the way, if you want to go check that out after this video. With that being said, though, I hope you enjoyed the ideas that I have, and if you do, please hit that like button and subscribe if you're new. Also, hit me up in the comments down below as well if there was something that you want to see in the next college football game made by EA Sports that I didn't talk about here on this video, man. So let's go ahead and get things to it. So first things first, I want to go ahead and start this off by talking about a couple of things that I don't want to see in this next college football game, right? Please do not make this a copy and paste of Madden. The college football and the professional football, those are two separate experiences, and we saw the backlash of Madden 21 when this game was first released and continues to receive. And while the state of Madden as a whole can be a whole different video topic, which I did talk about in a separate video if you want to check that out as well, if we find out that EA College Football is just a copy and paste of Madden from a gameplay perspective, people are going to be even more upset than they were about Madden this year, which I know that's hard to think because of the backlash that Madden 21 received, but people are going to be upset, man, and I'm frankly not going to enjoy it that much if it turns out to be a copy and paste of the Maddens that we've seen, the past couple of years. Also, on top of that, don't focus everything into putting as many microtransactions in the game as well as the Ultimate Team feature. This community has gone 8+ years without the hope of a new game coming back, let alone actually getting a new game from a AAA company. And for those of you that that have kept the NCAA community alive before this announcement has even happened, that's from guys that play Dynasty Mode, that have played the Road to Glory as well. On top of that, and countless YouTubers as well, such as Not the Expert, Mr. Hurricane, Uncle Sam's Rejects, TNJ, Param Crow, Big C Got Game. He has a really good series as well with Arkansas A&M that he has going on right now. The people of the college football revamp, who have done an amazing job. I don't have it yet. I hope I can get it soon. They've done an amazing job of revitalizing a game that is close to a decade old. Now, I understand that Ultimate Team, is a big moneymaker, so as someone that graduated college with a business major myself, I understand where they're coming from a financial standpoint, but take care of the guys that have kept this community alive for so long. If you're going to have microtransactions in this game, that's fine, but please keep them to cosmetics only outside of the Ultimate Team feature. A great example here of being able to have a successful game and not go crazy with the microtransactions is games like Among Us, Fortnite, and Fall Guys. All of those games, they had microtransactions, but it was just for outfits and other cosmetics, and those were still games that are either popular right now as of the recording of this video, or they were formerly popular at some point and experienced a major blow up. Okay, so now that this rant is out of the way, how about some things that we do want to see in EA college football? Let's go ahead and get it started. So the first thing that I want to go over is the customization. Customization is big for me as well as for a bunch of other folks that are in this NCAA community. Now, say what you want about Maximum Football, but one thing that I loved about the college football games that Maximum Football has released over the past couple of years is the ability to customize. Being able to customize all 130 teams with team builder schools would create limitless opportunities to create fresh ideas for everyone in the NCAA community, regardless of whether or not someone is a content creator or just wants to take the extra time out of their day to go ahead and build their very own custom universes. And speaking of that team builder feature, bring it back into the game, but make it a feature to where we're able to create that team within the game. So instead of having to go create a team using the team builder website, which was the case for the last couple of NCAA 14 installments before the series was discontinued, give us the opportunity to go ahead and, build it in the game, and then give us an option to go to whether or not we want to share it with the community, or if we don't have an online feature, keep it to ourselves. Similar to how 2K Sports has it going, to where you have that opportunity to do just that. Also, speaking of 2K Sports, so another thing that they can do in terms of taking a page out of is allow us to have custom logos. If we want to do a website kind of thing, allow us to upload custom logos from there, and then give us a directory to work with to go ahead and download those custom logos so that we can incorporate them into our created teams that we decide to play with and, like I said, create. And not only would having more custom teams in the game would be awesome to have, but also having the ability to completely customize conferences as well. Now, I'm not just talking about the change to add and remove teams from each conference, as well as change the names of conference divisions. No, I want to be able to change the names of the conferences and add and remove conferences as well, such as when the WAC actually dissolved as an FBS conference. They were in previous NCAA installments. They're not an NCAA 14. Likewise, if an FCS conference as a whole wants to move up to the FBS level, we should be able to go ahead and do that as well. So now let's talk about the most important feature of every college football game. It's the Dynasty mode, man. And since there's been 8+ years since the last time that we got a college football game from a AAA company, there needs to be some major changes to catch up with the times here in 2021 as of the recording of this video. To start things out, we need to have an updated transfer portal. In NCAA 14, transfers seem to happen randomly between when people would decide to leave your team, as well as when transfers would go ahead and try to join your program. The transfer portal that we see now in 2021 seems like it's its own recruiting process. Therefore, as part of the offseason recruiting process, there should be a segment where you have the opportunity to go after any players that decide to leave their respective teams, regardless of the reason. That being said, like the NCAA 14 Dynasty feature, any transfers that you take in should also affect the total of scholarships that team could use towards incoming freshmen and JUCO players. So say you start off with 25 scholarships, but you go after, say, 2 of those transfers, and those same 2 transfers decide to join your program, that's going to bring down your total scholarships for that season down to 23 that you can use for incoming freshmen and JUCO players. In addition, we need to have actual FCS teams in EA college football. Not only would this add to the realism of a game, but also this was a feature all the way back in NCAA football 06. Plus, nobody wants to play in FCS Midwest, FCS Northwest, FCS East. I don't have to save them all, but I think you know what I'm trying to make. It doesn't add to the realism, and I'm all about realism and the experience for the gamer. Also, it could also pave the way for a relegation system to be used in the Dynasty mode, so that teams that do well at the FCS level, for example, they can move up to play FBS football if they're worthy of that level of competition, while awful FBS teams like Idaho they actually did move down to the FCS officially, and UConn is considering that move as well. They can move down to play against FCS football in your Dynasty mode as well. Shoot, if you're feeling ambitious enough, even include Division II and Division III schools, because they are great football programs as well that can compete at a higher level if they're given an opportunity. Like, you got Mount Union, for example, as one of those teams. Same with Mary Hardin Baylor, who just won the Division III National Championship. Now, another thing that I feel could use some work as well since the last NCAA football game was created is the coaching carousel process, particularly when you are a head coach. Now, coaches leave programs all the time, but in NCAA 14, even if you're the head coach, you don't have a role in who your new coordinators are going to be. I want that to change. I'm sure many of you watching this video right now want the same thing to happen. So if there's a separate tab or menu, once it's confirmed that, say, that head coach is going to stay for at least the next season, that would be great to see, to be able to choose which coordinators would join our program for, the best fit possible. Speaking of those coaches, there also should be an update to the coaching tree as well. In NCAA 14, it was so easy as a head coach to take every upgrade that you have and place it towards the recruiting tree, which would leave the game management tree completely neglected because it doesn't provide the same bonuses as recruiting would to a Dynasty mode. I would personally like to see not only a balancing of those trees so that you can't focus solely on one area, but also have a player development tree in addition to the game management and recruiting trees that are existent in the NCAA 14 game, as well as have progression based on what that coach does. For example, if I'm at a one-star school and somehow pull in a top 100 prospect, that should be rewarded with skill points to use in the recruiting tree. Able to pull a big upset as a non-top 25 team, that should go towards game management, and so on and so forth. Also, regardless of whether or not they are a head coach or a coordinator, every coach should have these free skill trees. After all, the coordinators, they also have a role in recruiting of these future players as well as developing the players on that team. The head coach, of course, doesn't do everything, but it seems like that in NCAA 14. As for the recruiting mechanics of EA college football, I would like to see multiple options to satisfy both the casual gamer and for those that want to have a more in-depth recruiting experience. For this, I ideally want a blend of maximum football in NCAA 14. In the NCAA 14 game, for example, the recruiting system is easy to understand, but it was also too easy to secure the best high school prospects, even if you're in a lower tier program. Meanwhile, in maximum football, it was possible for those best high school prospects to outright refuse to answer your phone call if your school wasn't up to the standard, and you had to get to know the player if you wanted to have him sign to your university. Now, as someone that has played countless hours of both games, I like the recruiting system for both games, but allow the player to decide whether that be some kind of option, down in the Dynasty setup screen, to decide whether we want that casual experience or an in-depth experience from a recruiting standpoint. Finally, I would love to see NCAA Violations brought back into college football video games, and this was a feature in NCAA Football 06. Now, obviously it can use some tweaking because it did seem like it was random at times when you would be hit with some kind of violation to your players. I want those decisions to be based on what you as the coach decide to do. Say you want to recruit a player or convince a current athlete to stay at your school, you can have the option of providing improper benefits, which would increase the chances of getting the results that you may want to have, but there's also a chance you would get hit with an NCAA violation as a result of that, and the severity should be determined by how many benefits that school provides to that athlete. Likewise, you could also decide to play completely clean, but then you would be more likely to lose to a school that didn't feel the same way. It could go into the in-depth strategy of building a college football program, make things more difficult, but also keep the in-depth thing going. Now, the Dynasty mode is not the only popular game mode to make, because Road to Glory is also a game mode that was extremely fun to play as well and still is. So if EA Sports is going to come back with college football video games, Road to Glory needs to be included as well. Now, just like in Dynasty mode, the transfer portal should be included in this mode as well, except from a player perspective, of course, as it is the Road to Glory. One notable exception, though, is that depending on where you transfer, it affects the chances of if your NCAA waiver is approved or not, because as of the recording of this video, you still have to go through the waiver process if you don't want to sit out 1 year before seeing the field once again with that new team. So, for example, if I wanted to transfer because I was homesick, for example, and wanted to transfer to a school that is closer to my hometown that I selected in the setup screen for Road to Glory, I should have a higher chance of receiving that waiver to play immediately versus going to a major Power 5 school for the sake of playing time. Also, don't give us cringy, linear stories for us to play with. Face of the franchise and the long shot felt like the story was to turn for us, regardless of what we did on the football field. Now, if you want to give us a cutscene for major events such as signing day, declaring for the NFL draft, or winning a major college football award like the Heisman Trophy, that would be awesome. But allow us, the gamer, to dictate that story. Speaking of the story, make it more difficult for us to achieve that 5-star rating, because that's reserved for the best players in the country, and it should be a major accomplishment. After all, it seems like when you play Road to Glory, it seems too easy to get that 5-star rating and therefore get the attention of every major college football program that you can think of. On the flip side, please get rid of the coach trust as well, or give it a major adjustment at the very least, because say you want to play quarterback in Road to Glory on the Heisman difficulty, throwing one interception either in game or in practice can wipe out enough coach trust to go from a starter to holding a clipboard, and that's simply not realistic whatsoever. Finally, what I would like to see in the Road to Glory mode is to give us the full college experience. I should have to go to class so that I could remain eligible, and I should either be rewarded with attribute boosters if I have an honor roll worthy GPA, or be given punishments for having a lower GPA, like not being able to play on Saturdays, or even get kicked out of school and forced to transfer someone else in order to continue my Road to Glory. Now, one last feature that I did want to talk about that I couldn't really fit anywhere else is the ability to have cross-platform play. We have already seen it in games like Fortnite and Warzone, and MLB The Show is going to be the first major sports game to offer cross-platform play when it comes out on 4/20. That's April 20th. So if an MLB licensed game can do it, the next major college football game should be able to have the same thing when that game is officially released. But what do you guys think? Is there anything you want to see in this game that I missed? Let me know down in the comments, as well as smash that like button if you enjoyed this video. And if you happen to be brand new, I encourage you to check out the other sports gaming content that I do have here on this channel, and subscribe if you do happen to enjoy that content as well after checking it out. In the meantime, though, I do hope all of you guys out there are having a wonderful day. Take care, everybody.